is, as I'm going through each of the exercises, rather than going through all of the body weight, followed by going through all of the free weight and then all of the resistance bands, I'll go through each one for the various exercises and teach you a little bit about the movement again, because I think that's one of the important pieces, that then you can transfer that to any equipment or wherever you may be later. So what we'll be using today are the resistance bands, in addition to the ones that I have that the Diabetes Association sent me. We'll go ahead and show you my personal resistance bands, which I really like because they do have the handles on the end. You can also buy a strap that goes around your wrist that, as we progress into some of the resistance and get down the road, we'll maybe look at a few more advanced exercises that you might do. So again, the way that we did the program the other evening was we did 40 seconds of cardiovascular, so I'll show you the 3 exercises that we did, and then transitioned 5 seconds to the strength training exercise, and we completed that for anywhere from 8 to 15 repetitions. If you want to go for the 40 seconds, you can also do that. So you can count your reps or watch the timer on that. Typically, that's going to be fine. So I'll start with those 3 cardiovascular exercises, and then I'll move into the strength training exercises that we had. You might recall as well that we talked about the resistance balls that we have, and on those resistance balls for size, you want to sit down on them. Mine actually needs to be blown up a little bit, and you've got a 90 degree in your knees, so I should really be about right here on my resistance ball. For the purposes of what I use it for, I don't necessarily worry about the actual height of that ball. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. And the 3 cardiovascular exercises that I recommended, you can always modify these or get a jump rope as well, whatever you would like, but just simply marching in place. And again, you can always modify your intensity so your heart rate's where you need, with just small knees or the nice high knees, and as you add the bigger arms, you're going to have a lot more intensity in that as well. So I am at my home gym, and my little dog just joined me, who we didn't allow in the picture the other day, but he'll be here today, so you might see him off and on during that time. So the next exercise that we did was the hamstring curls, working the back of the muscle, and these are also great for your glutes and the back of the legs. So from a side view, your arms are anywhere, but pulling them back with the pull back of the movement is typically what we do. You place your weight on your one foot, the opposite heel kicks back, you place that down as you rock back to the other one. So those pull back hamstring curls are a really good one. Always make sure in any of the movements that your abs are tight, your low back is tight, and that your head, your shoulders, and your hips are in alignment, and the shoulder blades pull back and down into that movement. So march in place, hamstring curls. The other one that I showed you the other day was the jumping jacks, and rather than doing the full jumping jacks, we can always do that modified jumping jack. Again, your arms can be right here, or your arms can be the full, or your entire body can be the full motion. With that said, you don't want to elevate your heart rate too high for that 40 seconds that you're actually doing. So the first exercise that we talked about was the squat, and I recommended that you try and do it with the wall. You can also do it with the ball. The ball is going to go against the wall, which is going to make it really easy. It's going to be at your lower hip glute area, so that when you come down into that position, it's going to be a 90 degrees, and it's going to be supporting your mid-back. Your feet should be about shoulder width, whether you're against a wall or freestanding. You're going to walk your feet out so that when you come into that down position, you've got the 90 degrees, and your knee and your heel are right in alignment with each other. And then you're simply going to come up, never locking up those joints. Everything is a nice, slow, controlled motion. You can also just stay down and do a little bit of a wall sit for a few minutes, and that's going to be helpful for you as well, although your muscles will get pretty tired pretty quickly. The next movement that you would do would be that same movement, but without the ball. So again, you've got that nice shoulder width appearance. From a side position, your shoulder blades are back down, your abs are tight, and you're going to lower with your glutes going back so that your knees don't project forward. You don't want your weight to go forward. You want to keep your weight on those heels as you lower down and come back up. Again, nice and slow and controlled, never locking out any of the joints as you're going through the movement. So that would be the exercise that I would recommend for the legs. Again, there's a lot more, but I'd rather see you start with a solid 4 to 6 exercises that you're able to do, and then build on that once you gain that strength and keep yourself from getting a little bored with that movement. So next we want to work the chest. I also taught the other evening that everything is either a push or a pull movement. So when we're talking about the upper body, chest presses are a push, pulls are those rows that we're going to be doing. So with the resistance band first, we're going to take that resistance band, place it behind our back and underneath our arms. Our palms are facing down. Again, shoulder blades back and down so that we're not rounded forward. We want to be in that nice steady position as we just push our arms forward in the movement. Make sure as you're coming back that you do that with control as well. That's a lot of the motion. So push and then return back slowly, and that's going to work those chest muscles. The body weight exercise that's going to go for that is going to be your wall push-ups. So again, you want the resistance right at chest level. Sometimes people have their arms considerably higher, and here we want to be looking at right at chest level. The further back your feet go, the harder the exercise is, and you would also then want to go ahead and bring your hands down. So again, you've got that motion. So again, if we were here, we're going to be moving in this position. What I didn't say the other night was the farther out your arms are, the more chest you're working, you can bring your arms in very narrow to shoulder, and now you can tuck your elbows tight into your body, and you've got a tricep movement, the back of your legs. So that's a great exercise to add that we can always do with the body weight for the chest. So that's the resistance band, push away from the body, and then the next one would be either on the floor or on your medicine or your stability ball. If you have a bench, that's great. I do have a bench, but I'm purposely not going to use it today just to demonstrate. I want to demonstrate on the ball how all the movements are going to do, and then I'm going to do the first back exercise here as well. So on that ball, we want to roll down until our head is supported, our hips are nice and high, working that lower body, and now those weights again start right at that chest level and push up. I like to bring them together, but if you just want to press directly up and directly back down in a nice, slow, controlled motion, typically say a count of 3 and lower for a count of 3 is going to be really good for you. So that's the chest press done on the ball. As you're walking up, I came up without hands, but certainly acceptable to go ahead and push those hands to support you as you're coming up. So that was a push movement. The next movement is going to be a pull movement. We need to create an anchor for the body. So what we're going to create is going to be our feet for the low back. Our head, shoulders, hips in alignment. The back is nice and straight. Again, and flat, so don't round your back, but keep it nice and flat. Pull and lower. Pull and lower. And again, control on the up, control on the down. So there's not really a body weight exercise. The push-up does get both of those. I've shown you the resistance, same thing with the weight. Movements exactly the same. Head, shoulders, hips in alignment. Abs are tight. Pull up and lower down. Pull up and squeeze those shoulder blades together and then lower back down. So that gives us, now where we've worked the chest, the back, we've worked the lower body, and what we have left is our arms and our abs. We'll hold our shoulders for later. You're getting quite a bit of the shoulder work when you're doing push-ups as well. And typically for the beginner, that's enough. So for biceps, biceps are a pull exercise again. So this one, here's a tricky comment. Body weight, you can do it. If I were at a kitchen table or a counter, I could demonstrate this a little easier for you. What you're going to do is come up to the table, put your hands underneath it with the palm facing up, and it's what we call an isometric exercise. You're going to literally just push against that bicep. A lot of times I'll do this as a partner exercise where one person will have their hands down, working the triceps, the other person will have their hand up just like I'm doing here, and you're pushing and working that bicep muscle. So with that said, the resistance band that would be equivalent to that exercise is going to be using 2 of the resistance bands since they are a little bit shorter. Anchoring your feet on those bands, making sure that they're fairly equal, tucking the elbows tight into the body, and now palms facing up, you're going to curl up and curl back down. Not moving at those wrists, so don't work the wrists and then curl up, but keep those wrists nice and neutral, curl up and lower back down. Exactly the same as the exercises that you're doing with the free weights. No movement shoulder to elbow. All the movement is elbow to wrist, and not at the wrist either, and just lifting and lowering. So that's a pull exercise. So now we would need a push for the triceps. Again, body weight, you can do the push-up against the wall or on the floor with your elbows nice and tight. So for the machines, or for the free weights, you're going to hinge at the hips, elbows are nice and high, no movement shoulder to elbow, and push those weights back. Again, keeping those wrists nice and neutral. Head nice and neutral, looking down at the floor as well as you complete that movement. When we translate that to the resistance band, what we're going to need to do is only have enough resistance that we can actually get some tension as we do the movement. We've got to create a gravity here. So the gravity that we're going to create is placing our right hand at our left shoulder, working that left tricep. Now with that palm facing down or towards the body, again, we've got that push movement with no movement from the shoulder to the elbow. So you're simply just locking tight from the shoulder down to the elbow, and then pushing and releasing back up. If it's too easy, you shorten how much resistance there is in the band, and then you continue the movement and move to the opposite side. Again, there's other exercises that you can do with the band for the tricep, but we're trying to keep the movement there so you understand the movement and can translate that into some of the other exercises that you're able to do. So that leaves us with the abdominals. Let me just say, you worked abdominals when you were doing your push-ups, so that in itself might be enough for you, and also tightening those abs in any of the other exercises that you've also done. So the plank is one of my very favorite exercises, and you can do the plank on the wall by just kind of holding your push-up halfway, or you can take that plank to the floor on your knees, arms down on the floor, or arms upright, head, shoulders, and hips in alignment, abs nice and tight, shoulder blades back and down. The last exercise that I want to show you is going to be the abdominal crunches on the ball. And I'll use this one since it's right here. You might recall I said this ball has sand in it, which is kind of nice. It makes it a little bit more stable, particularly when you're doing exercises such as the abdominal. You're going to walk out so your mid-back is supported. So a lot of times people say, I feel as though I'm using my neck, and that's true. We often feel that way. Place a fist so you're not able to, and the opposite hand, and then just crunch up onto that ball. You may start in this position just getting a little crunch, and then building to where you can walk back and getting a much fuller range of motion.